Hello. Always that one moment to see whether we are live. Say hi if you can hear and see this. Give me a comment. Ah, good. Hello, Caroline. Let's see you again. Hello, Emma. You're not late. Brilliant. Hi, Bev. Oh, that's good. I'm doing a slightly different system this week. I'm trying something out, and I wasn't sure if it's going to work. Oh, Judy's here. That's nice. I haven't seen her all day. Hi, Jessie. Jessica's there as well. That's nice. Oh, good. And Russ as well. Lovely. So, tonight, got your glasses. Thanks, Emma. Tonight, quick quiz. First and foremost, where should I be right this very moment? I'm going to give you a little clue. Should be here. Should be sitting on the beach in Agadir in Morocco. At 39 degrees today, apparently. Oh well, it wasn't to be. Never mind, at least we're all safe and healthy. So, last week, one thing I did forget to mention, which I meant to say, was about HRT cake. The recipe will be on the website, hopefully first thing in the morning. It's just you can have a slice of the HRT cake every day. Obviously, it's natural phytoestrogens, and that can help with symptoms of menopause as well. It's something I meant to mention last week, but didn't. I didn't really think there'd be many references to arthritis in pop culture, but it seems like Eminem and Lil Wayne and a bit of Nicki Minaj, Eric B and Rakim like to mention a lot in their lyrics. Who knew? Well, I certainly didn't. I can't say I was particularly familiar with any of their music, because if it wasn't in the 80s then I wouldn't know it. But it seems to be a rapper's thing. So here's a great line. A saber that's Darth Vader with arthritis at a bar fight. There you go. Eminem, psychopath killer apparently. But I like this one. There's a classic from 1959. It's from Chuck Berry. Any takers as what song that might be? I'm going to give you the first line of it. I got the rockin' pneumonia. I need a shot of rhythm and blues. I caught the rolling arthritis. Sitting down at Rhythm Review. Last one now then. Roll over Beethoven. They rocking him 2 by 2. There you go. Just want to put a disclaimer up as always, because these videos have to be for educational purposes only, because they're for information really. We can't give medical advice or individualised suggestions over here. This is just more for educational purposes only. So that's that bit done. So a quick recap for tonight's topic though, because a lot of the things we've discussed over the previous weeks is now just as important, if not more so. So let's see how on the ball you are. Can you give me 3 fermented foods that can be really good for gut health? Have we got any coming in? 3 fermented foods. I think there's a bit of a lag, so I'll give you a moment there. Here they are. There's 5 of them. Kefir, kimchi, kombucha, sauerkraut, tempeh, and natural live yogurt. Yes, well done, Beverly. She was in there. Oh, and Sandy, sauerkraut, got it all. Brilliant, well done. Good. And the triad of health. What are the 3 things in the triad of health that we talk about week in, week out? We have got the chemical, the structural, and the emotional or mental side. So all those 3 things are really, really important when we're looking at something like arthritis as well. And then finally, what can keep good stomach acid levels? How can we try and support stomach acid levels? There we go. We've got the oh, that one didn't quite work out well, did it? Let me switch that one off. That's what I was supposed to do. There you go. Yeah, the zinc, ginger, the apple cider vinegar, and with meals, and some B12. Hello Irene from Spain. Still not quite Agadir though, is it? So they're the things we still need to always bear in mind because it's so vitally important for arthritis. So first and foremost, I guess the word arthritis itself is very emotive. It conjures up that image of a deformed elderly person, sort of disabled and riddled with it. That's me doing Julie's shoelaces up. It's been a hard lockdown for her. I think I'll get rid of that quite quickly. She might think that's funny. And although these images in your mind can be quite extreme, it can sadly happen and can affect people at any age, but it doesn't necessarily have to lead to that scenario. Everyone over the age of 30 has some degree of wear and tear, and sort of arthritis of the neck, for example, and that's a consequence of becoming bipedal sort of millennia ago. Now everything we're doing is sort of flexing forwards. Oh, there we are. Little bit of our evolution upwards, or devolution, whichever way you want to look at it. So what is arthritis? In its purest form, it's inflammation of a joint. It's a general term coming from the Greek for joint, arthro, as in arthroscopy for those who may have had a knee arthroscopy or ankle arthroscopy, and itis meaning inflammation. So essentially it's just inflammation of a joint. And there's many different types of arthritis, with osteoarthritis and rheumatoid arthritis probably being the most common. But there are many others, from septic arthritis to psoriatic arthritis, which you can get with psoriasis, ankylosing spondylitis, and even gout's a form of it. There's about 100 different forms of arthritis. So we're going to focus on the main two, but as before, everything you can do to get that baseline health better will have a positive effect on it. So osteoarthritis, or OA, that's the common wear and tear degenerative type arthritis, and it affects about 9 million people in the UK. Generally develops in adults in their mid-40s. It's more prevalent in females with family history, and it's also associated with repetitive use, age, obesity. Obviously, the more weight you're carrying, then the more strain through the joints, and previous trauma. So if you break your arm, for example, you're more likely to develop some arthritic changes in the joint closest to it. It could be the wrist or the elbow. OA itself is the most common in the hands, spine, knees and hips, ankles a little bit, the sort of weight-bearing joints often. It can also be associated with rheumatoid arthritis and gout, so some people do get a double whammy, which is very difficult. Hello, John Wentz. Yeah, we've got some foods leading to this without a doubt. I'll be coming on to those in a sec. And it initially affects the smooth cartilage lining the joint, which makes movement a little bit more difficult, which leads to pain and stiffness, which then leads to less movement, so therefore less pumping of the joint and less synovial fluid being produced to buffer that joint. So it's yet another vicious cycle. And once that cartilage lining sort of roughens and thins out, the tendons and ligaments have to start working much harder, and that can cause swelling. And then you can get the bony outgrowths called osteophytes, which themselves cause pain and swelling. So if this gets really severe, then you can get the bone-on-bone rubbing, which sort of alters the shapes of the joints, and you often sort of see that deformity. That's what you see with people. Generally, OA, osteoarthritis, affects one joint at a time. It's not to say you can't develop it elsewhere and other joints, but if it comes on at the same time, say for example both knees suddenly started, then you'd be considering more like a rheumatoid arthritis pattern. Rheumatoid arthritis affects more than 400,000 people in the UK and starts between 40 and 50 years of age, with women again, I'm afraid, 3 times likely to be more affected. This is an autoimmune condition, so the body's own immune system starts attacking the joints, causing pain and swelling. And it's important to get proper medical diagnosis, because some types of arthritis certainly need some medical intervention. So, common symptoms of osteoarthritis: deep aching pain, trouble gripping, bending, squatting, climbing stairs, depending on where the actual arthritis itself is. And I'm just trying to get another one up here for you. Yeah, that's working, good. Pain with walking, stiffness after resting. And the common symptoms of rheumatoid arthritis is pain, stiffness and swelling again, so some of these are quite similar obviously. More than one swollen joint, and it's quite a symmetrical pattern, so if you've got it in one hand and then you get it in the other hand, or you've got it in the other hand, then that can be a rheumatoid type pattern. And you often get the morning stiffness that goes on for more than 30 to 60 minutes. And they're some of the common things people can get with it. Some people, the pain of arthritis can be transient, and for others it's sort of constant and somewhat disabling. Curiously though, that looking radiographically, like on an X-ray, the two presentations could look very, very similar. So you think, why is that? Our old friend inflammation, that overreaction of a hair-triggered immune system, and we know what we can do about that because we've talked about it week in, week out. Out with the bad, those bad foods, which we go on about. There we go. I've got a list of them there this time. Sugar, refined white carbohydrates, alcohol, processed food, like the junk foods, margarines. Just don't even look at margarine. Just blank away from it. Don't go even near it. It's a gives you fried trans fats, which can block your binding sites for your good fats. It lasts about 53 days, whereas good fats last about 18 days. So if you're not getting lots of good fats, your bad fats will block that out of the way and cause all sorts of problems, a whole storm of inflammation. So that's fried foods as well. Processed meats, bacon, salami, hot dogs, fizzy drinks. Out with the bad. We don't want any of those. And then some of the common foods that cause the inflammatory reaction that people get, that immune reaction: wheat, dairy, caffeine, eggs, sugar and soya. They're very common ones. So out with the bad and then in with the good. So we want whole foods, we want the vegetables, we want tomatoes for those who can tolerate nightshades. Not everybody can, and for arthritis sufferers sometimes they do struggle with nightshades. And if you do struggle with nightshades, that's potatoes, tomatoes, aubergine, chilli and peppers. Extra virgin olive oil is really helpful. Green leafy vegetables, fatty fish, salmon, sardines, mackerel. Fruits, berries in particular, full of those antioxidants which are going to put the fire out of the inflammation. Mushrooms can be quite good. Dark chocolate, the higher level ones, obviously limit if you're off caffeine and sugar. Nuts, especially pecans. Dark green veg, broccoli, spinach, kale, leeks, lettuce, artichokes, avocados. Goji berries, but again, if limited if you're avoiding nightshades. Red cabbage, beans, especially pinto, lentils, soybeans, beetroot, blue, red and green, purple, red and blue grapes, because they're full of the antioxidants again. And sweet potatoes, orange vegetables and carrots, butternut squash. Cherries are really good, green tea is really good. All these will be on the website, so don't scribble these down, they'll be on the website in the morning. And remember the 6 main things which will sustain that inflammatory response. Foods, infections, toxicities, sleep, stress and obesity. Any of those will sustain that firing of the inflammation, and that's going to make the joints worse, full stop. So I know I say this week in, week out, but it's imperative just to get those basics right. Inflammation is one of the biggest factors in all chronic disease, and you can influence it by what you put into your body and the external influences you put it under. Exercise is still vital in keeping these joints moving. Swimming, cycling, tai chi, yoga. I recommend a friend of ours, Phoebe Hart, for yoga. She's brilliant, and she's now doing online consultations. There's Phoebe's little website, so if you want to do any of that, give Phoebe a look. Her details are on my website as well. Obviously it depends on the stage of the degenerative changes as to what you can actually physically do, but do something is most important, because if you're not doing anything, you're going to seize up, and there's no way you're going to improve by not doing it. Strengthening the muscles around the joint is imperative in all vectors. So up, down, out, in. Start with general strengthening exercises to support the whole joint, but not actually straining it, and gradually build up the resistance. For example, with your knee, you can start with a straight leg raise, lying on your front and lifting your leg up, lying on your back and lifting it up to the side, lifting it out, and then you can add a little bit of weight to it to add a bit more resistance, or push down into it, or then work, for example, the knee a little bit harder. But you can't do that while there's an active inflammation into there. So you want general exercise to keep tone in the muscles that support the joint. And it's interesting that within applied kinesiology, the muscles that support the knee, particularly the quadriceps and the hamstrings in the leg, they're very much related to the small and large intestine. So again, going back to the gut, that gut dysfunction is so important to look at in regards to any knee or hip pain. And yeah, I see this regularly. Using that whole AK method, we're always looking for where the weak muscles are and trying to find the therapeutic inputs we need to make in order to strengthen those muscles around the joints. Sometimes the intervention is nutritional, as we've said. Sometimes it's spinal, where we're going to do manipulation just to try and take the load off that area. Sometimes it's cranial, sometimes it's emotional. Anything can cause anything. We need to try and identify the drivers of inflammation which is exacerbating the damage. Rest is vital. We spoke about sleep 2 weeks ago, I think it was. Why? Because of its anti-inflammatory effects again. So get that good rest that you need and you will be less inflamed. It's one of the sustainers of inflammation, as we've just spoken about. So look at the sleep advice sheet on the website. That's on there as well. So will this reverse 40 or 50 years of misuse and abuse? No, of course it's not. You're not going to magically change your x-ray findings, but you can reduce the inflammatory load and those joints won't be so reactive, you won't have so much pain, you will be able to exercise more, and that's going to break that inflammatory cycle, it's going to break the damage and immobility that's occurring because of the arthritic changes. So now we've established the basics that we need to do. There's a couple of things which we can do be a little bit more specific for arthritis. So you've probably heard of glucosamine sulfate, and I'm just going to pop these up at the same time actually. It's become very popular over the last 20-25 years. It's a great source of sulfur which can help to hydrate, repair connective tissue matrix around the joint. It takes about 3 months to build up and some people respond very well to it. Apple cider vinegar with a teaspoon of Manuka honey can be helpful for some. For some people it doesn't seem to do so much good, unfortunately. Boswellia is a great herb with natural anti-inflammatory properties. Bromelain is the enzyme that's found in mango, pineapple, papaya. So get those in your diet. So that's anti-inflammatory as well. You want to be considering B12, obviously vitamin D and magnesium, that's part of our anti-inflammatory protocol anyway, and glycine. Always that glycine comes on, doesn't it? Part of the anti-inflammatory pathway, but also makes up 30% of our collagen, our connective tissues. So we want our connective tissues to be as strong and healthy as possible. It's pretty vital. A few other herbs that can be quite useful. There's the devil's claw, ginkgo biloba, fish oils, antioxidants, they're all quite helpful. Keep hydrated, plenty of water, you've got to flush that inflammation out, keep a nice elasticity in the tissues. Turmeric is highly anti-inflammatory and about 1,000 times more bioavailable when mixed with black pepper. I've got a recipe for golden milk, which is turmeric milk essentially, and that's going to be on the website hopefully in the morning. I've sent it to New Zealand for my brother to sort out already. Mindfulness, meditation, that can really help with the emotional mental side of that triad of health, because it just helps you to be in contact with what's going on, to relax a little bit, accept it, and move on from it a little bit. Massage and acupuncture, really great for pain and releasing some of that muscular tension around a joint when it's working so hard because the joint itself isn't working so well. Some people get great benefits from CBD oil, and that's actually going to be our topic for next week. So we'll do things all CBD next week. Simple things that you can do as well. You can swap out sweet potatoes instead of sort of normal white potatoes. That has a really good anti-inflammatory effect again. So we're trying to keep alkalized the whole time, because poor diets will make us very acidic and that'll wear away the bones more. We want to keep alkalized. We want the tissues staying strong and fresh. But by doing the dietary stuff that we've talked about, that will create more of an alkalinity within the body. Do look after that emotional side though, so with that meditation side of things, the mindfulness, because arthritis really can be quite an emotive word, and language has such a powerful subconscious effect on us. So try and focus on the things that you can do rather than the things that you're less able to do. Remember to control the controllables, because you can influence your outcomes to a much better degree than a name of a condition might suggest. Sometimes people go, oh, I've got arthritis, nothing I can do. No. That's a title. You've got a little bit of wear and tear, whatever it may be. There's so much you can do to try and improve that condition. You are in control of your diet and your lifestyle, so they're the things that you can change. Stress management, again, as important as before. We want to keep that parasympathetic nervous system nice and strong, because we need to calm down the stress reaction, because that will drive inflammation again, and the immune system. So as I said, once damage is done, we're not going to reverse it, but we can do is try and improve those symptoms. Diet, stress will create that inflamed acidic state, prime the immune system to react more rapidly, sustaining that inflammation. Improve that situation and you will improve your outcomes. Put rubbish in, you'll get rubbish out, quite frankly. So let's go switch that one off. So let's have a look. See, we've got a few messages there, which is great. And so that's everybody coming in. Hello Ray and Linda and Debbie and Sue again, Sue Smith and Sandy and my mum. Morocco Emma, yes. Plain gold. HRT cake. Okay. So, where are we up to with these? The kombucha, the kefirs, yeah, wow, a load of comments here. I'm trying to catch up with them. HCL, yeah. Live yogurt, brilliant. Irene's from Spain. Ray, one of my golf buddies. Stop moaning, you've had 5 weeks of sun in your back garden. Trudy, would I say you have arthritis? As I said, Trudy, I can't give individualised advice on here, but I think you know the answers to that. John, primary food leading to this, as we said, those bad foods out, the refined food, the processed foods, the margarines, the fizzy drinks. We know what our bad foods are. We know if it's in a packet, we shouldn't probably be eating it. But more importantly, get the good foods in. Get the greens, get the fatty fishes, get the berries, cherries. Ionic foot baths. Oh, that's a really good one. We sort of used them a few years ago, quite a few years ago now, and didn't get that great results with it. So I moved away from it a little bit. But I know that technology has moved on a bit. So to be quite honest, John, I don't know too much about the Ionic foot baths now. If they've improved any. I sort of moved on away from them. What level of zinc supplement should we take, please? So the RDA is about 15 milligrams, but individually, I generally will push that up higher for a short period of time to get that having its effect quicker. So between 30 and 60, depending on the person, depending on the situation, depending on the medication. Debbie, I think you're describing me. And Irene. No wine on the list, good. Did I not have alcohol on there, Beverly? I'm afraid I did. Wine is on there. Glycine, yeah, we love a bit of glycine. Just taking some licorice for reflux. Can this help inflammation too? Yeah, licorice can help. Can help with lots of things. It sort of delays the effect of cortisol, so it can be a more subtle release of it. Sun. Yes, Laura. Yes, please. Ray's asking, what's your opinion on support? I'm not a great fan, to be quite honest, Linda, because we want the body to do as much of the work as it can itself. And I think sometimes if we're using supports, then the body can be a little bit lazy and the muscles don't have to work as hard. So if you were, for example, you were going to go for a long walk, and you have got a bit of knee arthritis, and you think, okay, for that period of time I'm going to use a support on my knee. For that's okay, because I think it gives a bit of feedback, it encourages blood moving around that whole area, but you don't want to keep it on the whole time, and especially if you're going to do some exercise without it as well. So I think that's really important. If you're going to do some heavy gardening, and you've got a bit of a low back there, sometimes for a short period of time, then you can use a support for that, but generally not a great fan. Okay, any other questions coming through? I noticed on this system I'm using today, there's a slightly longer lag. Are oranges too acidic? Now that's a really interesting one, because generally citrus can sort of buffer, so it throws you into an alkaline state. But I do find with arthritic type changes, then oranges do tend to cause quite a lot of problem. So because in Chinese medicine, again, they can be quite irritant. So limes and lemons seem to be okay. So. John B, hi Matt, when is the man behind going to speak? Oh, we can't get a word in edgeways, John, I'm afraid. No. Are there trigger points we can work on from Emma? So, yes, quite frankly, but it would depend upon which joint, obviously. And you can have a feel around. Say it's a knee, have a feel through the front of the top of the knee, see if there's anything there in the quadriceps, at the back, behind the knee, in the hamstrings, to the sides. So this is the palpation skills that obviously osteos, chiros, physios, we're used to feeling the whole time. We'll probably go straight to them and you go, oh, is that a bit sore? Oh gosh, yes, as many of you already know. But you can find yourself, just have a feel around, feel where that lumpy area is, press into it and hold. So that can, until you feel it sort of release, that can give a bit of relief locally. It's symptomatic. Again, we're trying to, where the muscles are working harder because the joints are a little bit more degenerate, then they'll tighten up. So you can just break some of those down. So Russ, glucosamine used regularly over the past 30 years. Can I have aspirin too? Only 75 milligrams. Can't advise on medicines like that, Russ. That'll be up to your GP to decide. Yes, Julie. Yes, you know that one well as well. Oh dear, I'm going to have to go back to the specs again, unfortunately. Right, so re-fermented foods. Could the lactic acid in, say, kimchi hurt joints? Oh, I see, yes, sorry, I briefly saw that earlier about you mentioning about kimchi hurting joints. Possibly. Is there something within the kimchi itself which is creating localised inflammation? It could be more like that. Do you get it with all fermented foods, or is it just with kimchi? If it's just with the kimchi, then yes, it's probably one of the ingredients within it that you're reacting adversely to. Because again, as we said earlier, anything can cause anything. My arthritis has improved enormously since you realised I'd brought something back. Oh, this is my mum. Yeah, so she broke her leg, broke her hip quite badly back in September, and she had her arthritis got worse because of her stomach work, and we sort of realised that, we cleared that, and her arthritis has improved. So that goes back to those 6 things that sustain the inflammatory response: the foods, the infections. That's the infections part. Toxicities, sleep, stress and obesity, so which was that one. Food, infections, toxicity, yeah. So if you're clearing the infection out, which the bug you brought back from hospital was, your inflammation will decrease, thus your joints are not going to be so reactive. So yeah, that directly supports and shows that particular part of it. Well, thank you for that. No, just kimchi. So it must be one of the ingredients in that particular kimchi. So orange, no, but lime, lemons, grapefruit. That's another funny one. Grapefruit. That seems, for some people, don't have a problem with it at all, but other people it does. It seems to affect absorbency rates for some people. So I'd say that's 50-50. It's a suck it and see. Try it. Reactions can be anywhere from immediate to sort of up to 72 hours later, depending on how reactive you are. So if it's something you don't have very often, try it. Then just how am I feeling for the next couple of days. Oh yeah, absolutely fine, and it's probably okay. Okay. Good. Right, well, I hope you're all keeping well and carry on keeping well. See you all next week hopefully, and we'll have a little bit of a chat about CBD oil. That'd be an interesting one because there's some controversy about it, but also some good stuff. Alright, take care everybody.